All right, and I'm just gonna double check just to make sure that we are live. Yes, we are live. So, welcome back, everybody, for another episode of the A Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. It is I, your host, Traquan or Trey. And this week's topic is going to be: Is poverty a mindset? I'm excited to do this episode with you guys. I think that this topic is so vital in all of our communities, especially the minority communities. And I think that is something that's very essential for us to talk about. So today, I brought in the big dogs to talk to you guys about this particular topic. And I'm just going to dive right into it and have my panelists introduce themselves. And I'm going to start with Natalie. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Traquan, thank you so much for this opportunity. He says the big dogs. Um, I'll always be his auntie, just real quick. Born and raised in a community, South Jamaica, Queens. Some people in Brooklyn don't even go to Queens anymore. It's become that type of thing. I presently live in San Diego, California. If my nephew, Traquan's dad, is on here, he'll say I've retired from 5 or 6 jobs. So right now I'm working, I work for UC Davis as an instructor in their continuing ed and professional development department. And one of the classes I'll be teaching tomorrow is understanding the uh, puzzle of poverty. So it's a very subject that's very touches my heart. This one just really does. So that's enough about me to give you some background. Okay.
Nice. And from that introduction, like I told you guys, the big dogs, right? And Natalie is the most intelligent person that I know. Um, and I brought in one of the most intelligent young people that I know. Tony, why don't you introduce yourself for our viewers and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Thank you for that. I am so glad to be here. Shout out to you. I'm from Brooklyn. Trey is like a really close friend. We always have dope combos. And yes, this conversation is definitely necessary because I'm trying to personally push that, poverty line and create that rich Black household. So I'm so glad he invited me to be on this panelist. I'm a kids designer, trying to make a difference, trying to build things for my daughter. So I'm glad to be a part of this conversation and I look forward to all the comments.
Super dope. So again, like I said, guys, the big dogs, right? And then the most important big dog that I invited to this particular conversation is you guys, the viewers, right? Like I always tell you guys when we, go live and have different panelists and even myself being the host of this podcast, it's not about me. It's not about our panelists. What we say up here today or any other episode, it's not law. Like it's not like this is the way to get out of poverty or this is what this particular topic is or the way to go. We're just giving you guys a perspective that may help grow you and strengthen each individual so that as a collective, we can all grow. So all of you guys' comments, are needed. All of you guys' perspectives are needed. And I really can't wait to see what you guys have to say on this particular topic. So diving right into it, like I think I'm just gonna start right with the title, right? The topic, like is poverty a mindset, right? So let's begin from let's start from the beginning. So where does poverty start, right? That's where I want to start. And Natalie, I'll start with you. Um, do you believe that poverty starts in the household?
Absolutely. And I can only speak from personal experience and then moving on up the years. I'm not ashamed of my age. I embrace it. I can't believe I've lived this long. I'm 65 years old. I remember in 1964, I want to just ask a quick question and it'll get to my point. What's the longest war we've ever fought in this country for my history buffs? What's the longest war we've ever fought? What's the longest war? Was it the Vietnam War? What's the longest war? It's a reason I have on my fatigues. What's the longest war we ever fought? Anybody know?
I'm not sure at all.
Okay, the longest war we've ever fought is the war on poverty, because the President of the United States, Lyndon B. Johnson, declared war on poverty. And when a president of a country declares war on something, you are in that war until he declares it over, or it's won. And we haven't won the war on poverty. So, and it's, they've done all these programs. Like I said, I get to teach the directors from the welfare offices from all the way from Mexico all the way to Del Monte, California, where touching Del Norte, I'm sorry, touching the borders of Oregon. And we've got all these programs, all this money, and we're still living in poverty. It's a mindset. It starts in the home. That's my opinion. Like there's three different classes that it's broken down into. You have poverty, you have middle class, you have wealth. If you ask someone that is deemed in poverty and the things for it, how do they feel about money? What the first thing I think they would say from the stats is the numbers. It's to be spent. If you ask a middle class person, how do they feel about money? They'll say it's to be managed. If you ask someone wealthy, they'll say it's to be conserved and invested. And it's a mindset, because I can personally say going from being a single mom on welfare to being blessed with making six figures. When my bills were paid and I got my paycheck, I didn't think about investing. You know what I thought about? Buying red bottoms, okay, I don't have to go to the swap meet and get a knockoff. I'm going in the Louis store. They're going to offer me a glass of champagne and I'm going to buy that purse. I don't care if I don't have any CDs or any investments or any inheritance to lay for my family. So I still had that poverty way of thinking. So I think it starts in the home.
And that's great. Like even the breakdown of like, you know, in poverty, like this is how they look at money. Middle class, this is how they look at money, and wealth, and how they look at money and the things that they do with money and their relationship with money, right? So still kind of sticking with the same question, like Tony, what are some things when we're looking at that poverty category? What are some things that you believe that could be or that are being done in the household that's kind of pushing this particular mindset on, you know, the children or the environment?
I feel like it's unintentional teaching, because parents and families can only teach what they know. So if you don't know better, you don't do better. So it takes better understanding, money, credit, anything to push past of, you know, the basic of go to school, get an education, and then get a good job. You know, the basic teaching of, you know, go work for somebody. So I just think that it definitely starts at home, because children mimic what they see. They see your parent go to work every day. Okay, mommy, when I get older, I want to go to work every day. My 3-year-old just told me that, like, mommy, when I get older, I'm going to go to work. Even though that's not the lifestyle that I want to teach her, I just think that it's not, you know, intentional, and they're not in the household saying, you know, I want to do this. It's just all they know. It's all they know to work 9 to 5. It's all they know to, you know, go to school, go to college, and get a good job at a big company. Get the benefits, get the retirement, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they need to, you have to want to take classes, do more for yourself, for your family, in order to beat that poverty line, because it's systematic.
Right. And I really like something that you said in regards to you know, the 9 to 5 mindset. And then especially because, like you said, there's really nothing wrong with that. But to put our children or to put our families in a sense of a tunnel, or having tunnel vision in the sense of, I have to work this job, I have to do this, I need these benefits, I need this. It creates a rabbit hole, especially if that particular job or that particular field of study or whatever that is something that doesn't pay enough for the lifestyle that you want, right? Or the lifestyle that you're trying to live. A lot of the times people live in a particular category, whether it be poverty or middle class, and you know, you may be in poverty but want to be in middle class. You may be in middle class but want to be wealthy or rich. But your habits are that of somebody in a lower class, right? So teaching them and expanding their minds in the household, like being able to expand their minds to different ventures, definitely opens it up, because at the end of the day, you know, I have a saying for myself, like my dad for a lot of years, like was a garbage man, right? And I said to myself, like, you know what, my dad's a garbage man. He makes a lot of money, right? And that was one thing I always knew growing up, like garbage men make money, right? And he had you know, a lot of other, you know, jobs, but this was the one that really stuck out to me, because it was like, you know, garbage men make a lot of money. I was always told that when I was in school. But then I know a lot of people that sit behind the desk and they make a lot of money, right? And then I realized that there might not be levels, there might be lanes, right? Because at the end of the day, somebody has to do it, right? But it may not be you, right? Somebody got to pick up the garbage. Where the garbage going to go if somebody don't pick it up? So there's nothing wrong with the 9-to-5 job. Somebody has to do it, but we have to broaden that horizon, give them those different options in the household, so that way they can choose, because a 9-to-5 is not for everyone, right? So rather than have them struggle in a particular field, we give them those different options, so they'll be able to choose a lifestyle or a job or workplace that best fits them. So Tony, going back to you, so now that we talked about the household, do you believe a person's environment can contribute or have an effect on like where they live at in regards to poverty, like or that line that they're on?
Absolutely. Environment, household, I think they all go hand in hand. And just to touch back on a little bit about what you said, I think getting that good job with, you know, good pay, that's just the start of the battle. Now you have all this money. Now you don't have the education or the knowledge or the understanding of what to do with the money. So it's not about having the money. You can have the money. You can have 100,000, 150,000, or $2 million, but if you don't have the knowledge to keep that money to build generational wealth, you could be signing up for bankruptcy. You could be, you know, you could lose it all. You could be going to the red, you know, the Louis store and shop all you drop and getting the gold chains and stuff. Yeah, you look cute, but if you don't have the basic understanding of how to handle money, it will work against you rather than work for you. And of course, environment as well. If you sit, you know, you have to put yourself around people that knows more than you so that you can grow. You ever heard the saying? I don't really know the saying, but I'm gonna just paraphrase the saying. You know, you are who you keep around you. Now, if you have friends or if you have just a whole negative environment, just about gossip and drama and negativity, nobody's, you know, getting that higher self out of you. They're just dragging you down. So of course your environment can keep you in a poverty mind state. So yes, I believe that.
And I agree 100%, like 101%. And on our last episode, generational behaviors, one of our panelists, Jose, he said, you know, I try to surround myself with people that's moving in the same direction that I'm moving in. He said, and he had an example. He said, listen, dog, if I'm trying to go to the moon and you're not trying to figure out a way on how to help me get to the moon, then it's not to say that you know, we can't be friends, but I can't have you in this circle, because having the proper environment that's conducive to your growth is essential. And it's the same thing with anything else, right? Like when you sit and look at plants, right? You can't just take a plant and put it in your sink and think it's going to grow. It's not in the right environment to grow. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. And one of the things that you said about like those behaviors, like, you know, you don't know how to handle it. Like you get all this money, but you don't know what to do with it, and you spending it, and you spending more than you're making, and things of that sort. So Natalie, I want to ask you, what do you think some common behaviors are that are keeping people in poverty?
I think, Quan, some of the common behaviors are not changing. Just to go back to the question when you said about Does a person's environment affect poverty? Yes. And in your household, I'll give you a perfect example. We're open books. My daughter, I brag about her because she's a real estate broker. She did not want to work for someone else for a 9 to 5. I retired from the county. She got a job at the county. She did excellent there. She said, Mom, this isn't me. My daughter is an employer. I'm an employee. I can go in and run $1 million companies. She wants her own company if it's only worth 1,000 and she's content. Traquan, you're the same way. You'll make sacrifices. You want your own business. You're not into not that you don't want a lot of money, but you will do. You're an employer. You're not going to do well working as an employee. You just don't fit that mindset. And it's not that anything is wrong. There's no right or wrong. So I think what keeps us in it is in the environment in our family when you have dreams and you're around dream killers. Like if someone says to you, well, Traquan, why are you going after Kingdom Hoops or Antoinette? Okay, so you're in real estate and you're working for a builder. Why do you want to launch out and do your own business? You're okay. You can't tell everybody your dreams. I think that's the biggest part for us if we just talking close knit with the piece about what keeps us there and being afraid to leave. When you start doing good, those that are close to you are going to start judging you. If I'm in the Louis Vuitton shop, I paid all my bills and I'm buying a purse and my cousin Pookie's light and gas bill needs to be paid and she didn't handle her money, I'm a dirty dog because I didn't pay her light and gas bill. And Pookie and the whole family, they might not even invite me for Sunday dinner after church. Oh, that girl done got the big head. She know Pookie need her help with her light bill. No, Pookie, do something different. So it's that fear, of losing those around you too, and just becoming better. Some of us are not afraid of success for ourselves, but afraid of what our loved ones would say. So I think that thing about keeping crabs in the basket, that's true. That's true. And sometimes we just say, you know what, I'm not even going to try to get out because it's comfortable here for me. And I don't want to meet new people and leave my friends behind. So I think that's what keeps us. It's very scary. Success is scary.
That is so true. And as funny as it was, the Pookie scenario, I think a lot of us see that, right? Like where you're in a situation where, and a lot of people now, because of social media, we get like an inside view on everybody's life, right? And I remember once upon a time, like when you did something in the younger days, like prior to social media, and we have certain conversations at the table, we'd be like, oh, you need your own show. Like, I need my own show. And now with social media, like everyone literally has their own show and they can be whoever they want to be and show people whatever they want to show them. But on the flip side of that, a lot of people who have money and who are wealthy, they're speaking out and talking about things like what you just said. And I'm real big on sports, and I listen to a lot of the young athletes when they get all this money and they talk about how they really don't have as much money as people think they have. But once they get money, people just assume that, y'all remember that time in the 3rd grade, like I shared my hero with you, like my light bill needs to be paid, right? And the video that we're actually that I'm going to be referencing throughout this conversation is actually by Dr. Eric Thomas. He's actually like a world-renowned speaker, #1 motivational speaker in the world. And one of his other messages, not the one that we'll be referencing, he said, money doesn't solve money problems, right? And he gave an example, like, if I give somebody $10,000 today, you're going to come back 6 months later and ask me for more money, because money doesn't solve money problems. You need a source of income, right? So I think like you hit it right on the head. And then like dream killers, right? Like how many times have we been around people, and if someone is in that mindset and you've broken out of it, right? Like you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you're walking out of the cave. There are people like why would you want to do that? And you got to be mentally and spiritually strong to be able to get past that, especially if it's somebody that's close to you. Like it's easy to just say ignore them, but when it's your mother, when it's your father, when it's your, someone that's very close to you, it can really, hurt you in a different kind of way. So I'm going to jump to our comments really quickly before we dive deeper into it. And Nikki said in our comments, the value of money for a person depends on the environment. Some people believe $18 an hour is good money, and some people that's not a lot of money at all. right? So again, it's a mindset, your perception on things, like the way you look at things, right? Where you've come from. Like it's okay to have come from $9 to now be making $18 an hour. And you can be proud of that because you know where you came from. But depending on your goals, your perception of a particular amount of money, you know, may not be the same. And then Taurus said, if you hang around 4 millionaires, you'll become the fifth. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. So I really believe in finding people that like when we talked about, you know, the whole moon thing. Like if I want to get to the moon, I need to surround myself with people that want to get to the moon so we can get there together, right? Or you guys can help me get there, or vice versa. Um, and then Marilyn said, you can't take everyone along on the journey. And I think we've all seen that. Like at times, as much as we want to take people along with us, some people might not be tall enough to ride this ride, right? And we got to be able to live with that, right? And that just has to be, you know, what it is. So Tony, going to you, at what age do you think the poverty mindset begins, or that kids or just people in general begin soaking up this poverty mindset, like this learned behavior?
Just got through telling you, my 3-year-old said, Mommy, when I get older, I want to go to work because I see you go to work, and she's 3. So I just think as young as that, there's no, it could be even younger than that. It's what they see. If a child see all the adults out the house, okay, you go to school, I'm going to work. You come home, you make dinner, you go to sleep, you do it again. Every day, day in and day out. That's what they see. So it could definitely start at a very young age.
Right, right. And I agree with that, right? In the episode 3, I believe it was, when we were talking about screen time. And I remember, you know, one of the subtopics was, you know, how screen time affects our children, and telling everybody, like, you know, kids do what they see more than they do what you say, right? So you can tell your kid, like, do this, do this, do this, do this. But if they see you doing this, they're only going to do what you tell them as long as they feel like they have to listen to you. But once they get out on their own, they're going to venture into what they saw, because they believe that's what's right in most cases, right? So now looking at, you know, a different aspect of poverty, right? Now looking at wealth. And in this particular video, the video is called Success is a Routine, and it's by Eric Thomas. And I want to go into that because, Sonia, you touched on something that I think is very vital, right? As far as like, you go to work, you come home, you do this, you cook, you eat, you go to sleep, and then you wake up and do it all over again, right? And that was kind of, you know, my childhood. Like my parents worked, you know, they came home, cleaned, we ate, we went to sleep. At a certain time, we got up, we went to school, right? But now Eric Thomas proposes that successful people have a different type of routine, or they have a routine. Natalie, do you think that people that may be in poverty lack a routine?
Absolutely. And when I say that, this audience is a lot more relaxed and comfortable for me. But if this question came up and I was speaking not English with us, but corporate needs, you know, because my language changes up wherever I'm at. I speak a little differently. So if I was at the podium at UC Davis and I had 58 welfare directors that didn't look like me, I would answer that question in a different way. I'd say, I do believe that it needs a routine but the thing that I don't want them to forget is I don't want them to start judging, because what happens when you get people in offices and positions, when a person is applying for, say, food stamps, or we call it CalFresh, or welfare, or homeless assistance, or medical benefits, if they have that mindset, oh, you just like a routine and you lazy, you coming in here. No, this is a proven psychological fact. As Maslow talks about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if a person lacks their basic needs like food, water, warmth, and rest, they cannot focus on a routine. Their routine is to get to a warm place to stay, even if it's a parking lot for cars to park that are where people are homeless. They have safe parking lots here in California where the homeless people park their cars and they go in this lot, and that's where they stay at night. So that little girl that may look like me in that car sleeping, that's 12, she can't develop a routine because her routine is, can we get in the shelter tonight, or are we going to sleep in the parking lot? So I just don't want us to forget that area of it when we talking about it. It's so much. Like I said, once again, I got on my fatigues. This is a war we fighting. And for, I think the majority of the people that are on here would probably fall into that category of middle class or upper middle class. So if we trying to win this war against poverty, and as you talk about, do you lack a routine? Absolutely. They do lack routines, but you've got to understand that, and depending on what level you're dealing with and who you're working with and who you're trying to pull out of that poverty. Because right now, I think what we're looking at is building wealth. Everyone probably in this conversation is talking about building wealth. But when we reach back, and when I go back and I'm talking to them, I'm like, you know what? I want to know where that $24 million went that I saw the budget and I still got homeless people. Rewrite the program because it's not working. The process has become the barrier to end this war against poverty. So yes, I do think they lack a routine, but we've taken their routine from them. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. Perfect sense. And I like the fact that you one, address the fact that yes, a routine is important, but the fact that for some people that may not be tangible, like you may not be able to have that, right? And in this particular video, like Eric Thomas said that most successful people, they don't have a gap in their routine, and they're obsessed with their routine, right? So he made a joke, right? And he said, for me, I get up at a certain time in the morning, and I don't have no gaps in my routine. That by the time I go to sleep, like it's 8 o'clock at night, and he said if the devil come and tempt me, by the time he come to tempt me, I done did everything I had to do. By the time he come to tempt me, I'm going to sleep. Like, now, you know what? You're gonna have to try tomorrow. And he's like, but you wanna, yeah, I do want to do that, but you're gonna have to try tomorrow when I wake up, right? And he basically, the thought process is that if you don't have gaps in your routine where you wake up at this time, you're taking care of, let's say let's just give like a mock routine and say I wake up at 6 in the morning and I work out. I want to take care of my body and I'm eating right, and then I shower and I get up and I do what I have to do for work, and then I do what I have to do for my children, and every moment is accounted for, right, during your day. The thought process is that it creates an environment where it limits the time that you can be unproductive or do something that can be counterproductive towards your goal, right? So, Tony, what would you say about those particular comments? And do you think that that's true? Like not having gaps in your routine lessens the chances of you being unproductive and doing things that can be counterproductive towards your goals?
It's every single day. I think a routine is very important in whatever you want to do because it's consistency. In order to be consistent, you have to have a routine. In order to see results, you have to be consistent. It all plays hand in hand. And somebody who has a degree in something, right? They went to school, they have no work, working, my mind just went blank, sorry. They didn't work in the field, they just completed their degree. Then you have somebody who spent the last 5 to 6 years going to class, getting the skills, learning, building. Who's more desirable at the interview? The person who just got the degree, who just was in school, or the person who spent the last 5 years being consistent, learning skills, learning, different, whatever you need in that specific field. But then you have, what I was gonna say, I don't know why my mind is going blank. Anyway, moving on. You just have to make a conscious decision to be better. I think every step in a routine is important, starting from the morning when you wake up, your first thought, until the time you go to sleep, your last thought. Every step in the routine is important. And to the 12-year-old, Going back to what Natalie mentioned about the homeless girl, it may not be a big routine, but even her thought process of wanting to be better and grow, and get out of the situation that she is in every single day, if she has it on her mind, sleeping in the parking lot, that I want to be better than this, I'm going to be better than this, that's a routine. That's a thought every single day that she has from morning to night. It can start as little as that. It doesn't have to be drastic changes where it's out of her control, but I think routines are very, very important.
That is really a super dope perspective. And like I say to you guys, like I really learned so much from you guys, even from the comments. So guys, continue to bring your comments in. And Tony, like just that whole perspective of like somebody being in a car and being in a situation where you have all odds stacked against you and you don't have the opportunity to have that, being able to formulate some sort of routine is so crucial, right? It may not be the routine that you need in order to become wealthy or in order to, well, we're not going to skip classes, but in order to become middle class and then become rich and wealthy and things of that sort. But just having a routine to kind of get you through the day is crucial, right? And Cam said in our comments, a routine is a formula, a recipe for success. So like you said, like having that thought over and over and over again, or having somebody working on a job versus somebody that doesn't have experience. You've done this over and over and over again, like what it takes. So having that routine is definitely a formula or a recipe for success. And then Kay said in our comments, routine is a form of discipline, right? And I'm happy that she said that because I really want to drive that home. Like when we talk about routine, it goes even back to what Tony said about consistency, right? Again, another form of discipline. We can say we want all we want, right? I can say I want this. I can say I want that. I can say I'm going to get up every day and I'm going to lose this weight and I'm going to be a millionaire and I'm going to get this business off the ground. But unless you're consistent, which involves discipline, then your routine is just a thought, right? It's just a thought process. It's not, it's not anything at all. And then Tamiko says structure, right? Structure is very important, especially when we go back to where poverty starts and we talk about the household, right? Having that structure creates a routine for children, right? Whether it's something as simple as you have to do your work before you play, right? That's simple, right? But that structure, that routine is gonna now teach them when they get older, I got to take care of my business before anything, right? And that leads me into my next question. And Natalie, I'll ask you this question. When you're dealing with somebody or a group, let's just put it in a group, right? When we're dealing with a group or an area or that may have a poverty mindset, do you think that vacation and rest is more important than work?
Wow, that's a deep one. I think when you understand about growing, that vacation is important. That was something that I didn't know. I was just like the energizing bunny. I keep going and going. But when you break it down about vacation is more important than work, let's break it down into the poverty that we're dealing with. Is it someone of a mindset that came from generational poverty or situational poverty? Because there's a difference. Now, someone from generational poverty, rest and partying and vacation may be the only lifestyle. I don't know how true this is, but they said when the slaves were freed, some slaves stayed there and party. They just got their swang on. They didn't even leave the plantation. And then there was some of those that went on and they said, I'm leaving. So did they stay there and party and rest from their labor as working as a slave, or did they keep it going and move on and plan? And I think if I was there, I would think that I would have, my family, we would have been the ones that left because we would have had a plan. After we're gone, we're going to have a party in a year. So it depends on the individual and understanding what they're escaping from. because there are some gatherings that I get to and vacations that I've been on that I don't want to go because it's not conducive to what I want to do or who I want to be around. So that's kind of a tough one for me. It's I say vacation is very important, and I learned that later in life how important it is. But you've got to have your priorities together. It has to be a part of that formula. I love what Tony said. You've got to look at the whole picture. It's got to be a part of something that you're doing. If that answered it.
Yes, definitely. And when it comes to you, I'm really big on rest. Like you said, I know that you are the Energizer Bunny, like this, and just a little bit off topic, but on topic. When Natalie was introducing herself and telling you guys a little bit about herself, and she's telling you guys that the where she teaches and all of these jobs that she's been able to obtain, and going from where she's come from to be at a point making six figures and things of that sort, and managing $1 million projects, right? And this woman will have $1 million project that she's managing, $1 million, right? Just recently, she had $1 million project that she was managing, and I was telling her, some things. I was bouncing some ideas off of her about my basketball business, Kingdom Hoops LLC, and she literally was like, "Okay, we're gonna make a plan, do a meeting, do this, do that," and she's making all of these plans to meet with me while she has this $1 million contract on the table, and then she's very involved in her daughter's ventures, and always making sure that she makes herself available to her daughter, and she makes herself available to the rest of our family. And then at one point I'm like, listen, when do you sleep? Like, you got to go to sleep, right? So I don't want to create the environment with that question that we shouldn't rest or we shouldn't take vacation. But like Natalie said, when we're looking at work, how are our priorities, right? Like, are our priorities number one, right? Or are we gonna party like it's our last day and then now our rent's not paid, right? Like, so where's the priorities in that, right? Another thing that I want to touch on in the particular message that that Dr. Eric Thomas did, called "Success is a Routine," he talked about being in a different environment, right? So when you're moving from one level to another, and he has a PhD, and he was saying that he has a PhD that doesn't hang on any walls anywhere. And he didn't get the PhD for acceptance or affirmation, but he got the PhD, one, because it opened up doors for his family that his master's degree didn't open. And not to say that a master's degree or a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree is not good enough, but he realized that in his field that the PhD would open up different doors. It would allow him to be in front of different people if he had it in his particular field. And then another reason why he said that he got this particular degree was to learn the language, right? So he said that when he was in English class, the professors looked at him, and he got his PhD at Michigan State University. He said he wanted to get it from a predominantly white institution. And he said that where people were looking at studying and they thought that he was trying to learn, he was actually listening to their language and how they conjugated verbs, because he realized that in order to really be the best at what he was doing, he needed to be able to, one, communicate with his environment where he had came from, but also have the vocabulary and the language to speak to a different group of people, right? So Tony, do you think a part of people being in poverty is because they could possibly have poor language?
Ooh. You just have to ask your question. Who do I want to talk to when I'm with the big dogs and I'm sitting in this room? How they gonna respect me? You gotta talk on a level that they at. So you need to go maybe take communication class. You need to go sit and take skills class that's gonna enhance your knowledge and your words and your vocabulary, just like he did. And I respected what he did, because if you talking gibberish and you think you know what you're talking about, I will look at you like, what are you trying to say? Now, if you know what you're talking about and I can learn from you, and it's like, okay, cool, now I'm listening. Now I know you know what you're talking about because you talking my language. That's very, very important. And just a tad bit, just to touch back on the vacationing, I am big on time spent with family. So I think just going back a little bit, you need to find a balance because you can't do all work and just no play. And rest can mean, you just take a little vacation. Maybe you just take a day off. Maybe you just need, this weekend just with your family, just grab a movie because kids grow fast and time is something you can't get back. So I think pertaining to vacation, you definitely need to find balance. But yes, language, I need you to know when I'm in the room with you talking business, I need to speak your language because you need to hear me. You need to take me seriously. And I know what I'm talking about. And that's it just makes you more confident in what you're talking about. If you're going to a communication class and like he said that he wanted to know how they conjugate the verbs and just I'm gonna take you seriously. I don't care if you're in the all white school, you're the only black man. If I sit across from you and we having a conversation, I need to know what you're talking about. That's the only way I'm gonna take you serious.
That is a Snapple fact. I want to walk in and I want to shake the room. Y'all gonna know I'm here, right? Like that, like pretty much. And I think a part of that, not just the language, but your aura, your confidence, and the confidence in what you're saying, right? That's one piece. But like Tony said, like if you talking a bunch of gibberish, and Natalie said in the comments, she said, right, Tony, it's nothing worse than a loud fool, right? So you just can't be talking a lot about nothing. And I think a lot of that ties into what we're around, right? Are you taking those that time to better your vocabulary because of who you plan on speaking to, right? And then Natalie also said, Natalie gives us all business mindset, even when it's family, and she sets the tone of professionalism, which helps us outside of the conversation with her. And it's essential to all families, right? Just to have somebody to, be able to set a level of professionalism, set the tone in the room, and give you like a different way of looking at things. And Kay said, I'm learning later in life now. Tora also said that recharging is so necessary. You cannot keep going with the dead battery, right? And so we also have to look at that, right? When we look at like what's draining us, work can be draining, parenting can be draining. If you have a significant other, that can be draining. So you got to find ways to recharge, right? And then also be around people that are pouring into you, right? Not that you're pouring out your cup, emptying it out, going to put your cup back at the fountain, getting more, and then you keep pouring it in the same place. It got to kind of, right? Like we got to put ourselves in environments where the environment is pouring into us as well, right? Carla said, find their love language in your golden, right? So I think that works into it as well. And Kay said, emphasis on shake the room, right? That's just how it should be, right? When you're in a place where now you want to be the big boss, you want to be the big dog, right? You're starting a company, and with Tony, like she said earlier, like she's doing clothing and she's starting a company, right? She's not gonna walk in the room like, and Eric Thomas used an example, like, when I go to corporate, I can't say ambulance, right? Like I could say that at the cookout, but I can't say ambulance, right? So now when Tony walks into these rooms and she's presenting her clothing line and she's going over her quarterly goals and things of that sort, she can't walk in there like, I, you know what I mean? So what's about to happen is, you feel me? Like, like it's just a certain way that you got to be able to present yourself. And I think language is also, I wouldn't say a part of poverty, but can be a barrier when you're trying to break through that line and make it to the next step. And then lastly, before we go to our next question for you guys, Natalie said, or Nikki said, I tell my son all the time, if you don't know something, don't act like you know it, but actually do the research to find out. And I think that's so great because we live in an age where information is so available it makes no sense to act like you don't know something. Like Google will literally give you so many different options on how to find something. So just do the research, right? If you have to take a class, like Tony said, if you want to do communications, you got to take a class or whatever it is, do what you need to do to gain the information that you need to have, right? So Tony, I'll go back to you, and I have a statement for you, and it's true or false. Like, what do you think? So most people are poor because we read and watch poor stuff. True or false?
I would have to say true, because there have been times where I know I have to be productive and I know I got some stuff to do, but then I just start scrolling. I be in people's comments. I be like, well, how you end up people arguing, you start ending up on their page, and it gets so time consuming. Or I'm watching reunion, I'm binge watching shows, and I look up, it's 10:30, and it's like, Tony, what did you do today? Like, you did nothing. So I really think that it's okay to a certain extent. Like, you can't just be wasting your days binge watching, gossiping, filling your brain up with drama. You got to kind of balance it out with some reading, some studying. You got to, just break out of them bad habits. And I personally have them, because sometimes I be just on Facebook like, what is going on? Just scrolling. Then I get into the TV shows, and it just get real crazy. But yes, I would say that's true, because I am a victim of it.
And I love it. Like I love the fact that we can all be relatable, right? Let's all be relatable. Let's all be real. We sitting around the table amongst each other. This is a safe environment, right? Like, I be binge watching some stuff, like, and don't let me get a show that got a sequel or another show that connect to it, because I done went from like Vampire Diaries to the originals. Like, now I'm watching Legacies, and you catch yourself now because you got these shows that you can watch a whole season in one day. Like, before, you had to wait to a certain day. So don't get a show that got all 7 seasons. Now you messed up in the game. But it's not that the show itself, like you said, it's not that the show itself or what you're reading itself is poor. Like, it's not like it's the book or the show is like be poor. But if you reading it and watching all day, scrolling up and down, like, I remember at one point I would wake up and turn over and click Instagram as soon as I woke up. I don't even know what I'm looking for. I don't even know what I'm looking for. Why am I on Instagram right now, right?
Facts.
So that's why I said, and that's why I thought that it was important to get your perspective on this particular question, because we're a little more into the technology than the older folks. So even though I will say this, I don't know what it is with Candy Crush and older folks, but y'all still playing that game. Older folks love some Candy Crush. Like, I don't know what it is, but y'all love it. So where we might binge watch some shows and be on social media and stuff like that, I know you guys, some of you guys are still trying to figure that out. Them phone games, that's y'all. That's y'all lane. Like, and that might be
like. Well, I'm like, but she playing Candy Crush.
Right. That's
stops and everything. Yes.
Right. So, another thing that Eric Thomas said is that time is the most important thing to a millionaire. If they're not working, they're perfecting their time. Perfecting their craft. Because for a millionaire, they understand that time is something that they can't get back, right? If you lose $1, you can find a way to get another $1. If you lose a minute, 10 minutes, an hour of productive time, or just time in general, you cannot get that time back, going back to the routines and how they're very strict on their routines. So Natalie, what would you say to that? Like, the mindset of a millionaire being that time is their most important asset, and that if they're not working, they're spending time perfecting their craft.
I agree 1,000,000%. I find, for me, you'll hear me say, I value time over money. Health and time, that's just something, you can't get. It's how you spend your day. Just to back up a little bit, Traquan, when you were talking about being on social media, I had to go to a meeting. Hi, my name is Natalie. I'm hooked on Thug Life. I took Facebook off my phone, because I'm like, why am I playing this game? I got 1,000 things to do. and I know what I need to do. So my question is, I start thinking, I said, is this set up to take our attention away from what we need to do? Once again, with the war on poverty, the war on drugs was put in the Black community to slow us down a little bit. So I'm wondering if these games are the same way. So I'm very, very careful. So my reward, okay, do you want to go buy a new pair of shoes, or do you want to spend an hour a week on Thug Life? I'll take the hour a week on Thug Life, and I'll turn my timer on. So once again, it's time. So when you talk about time, it's easy to fall into that mindset of not utilizing your time the best way. I don't play with it. I try to be respectful of people's time. And my dad had this saying, on time is late, 10 minutes early is on time. I think we all need to value each other's time and not let things rob our time. You can't get it back. And if you see anyone that considers to be successful, or we consider them successful, they have some type of tracking system that they use, be it their calendar on their phone or just an old-fashioned date book, but there's some type of way that they manage their time and they look at what they're doing. One of the most organized people I know, I look at my daughter, she always has a calendar, and she left it there, and I said, let me see if she really using this thing. And she's really, because I'm like, is she really using this? Because I buy all kinds of calendars. That doesn't work for me. But she tracks her time. So that's a big, big part of your success, managing your time. You have to do it. You got to understand what it's worth.
God's still working on me with time. I am not the best with Listen, this podcast is for me, because what we talking about is me. I need to hear this. God was like, listen, Traquan, get Toni on this podcast, because she needs to hear this. All right? I need to hear this.
I'm telling you, we all need to hear this, right? Like, there's been a point, like, just like how we were saying, like, I'm reading these comments, I'm watching these shows, I'm doing this, and then you read the comments, or I'm reading the comments out loud, and it's like, oh yes, me too, oh my God, right? Like, I love the fact that we can all be transparent and relatable, because I think one of the biggest things is knowing that it's not just you, right? Sometimes we get in a place where we beat ourselves up, like, yo, like, and let's say, for example, I'll take me and you, for example, right? Like, two people that are starting a business, or have started a business, I should say. And like, I don't know that let's say, like, you got a love and hip hop addiction, right? And that you're not on time with your stuff. The only thing I see is the clothes and the photo shoots, and I could be in the house beating myself up, like, yo, I need to be more like Toni, right? And with social media, you get that a lot, where you see people comparing themselves to other people, right? And now I'm in the house beating myself up, but now for us to be able to be transparent, for all of our viewers to be able to be transparent and say, like, yo, like, this is affecting me too. It makes it that much easier, not to say like, oh, I'm gonna do it because everybody else is doing it, but it gives you sort of like an ease, like, okay, I'm not the only one. And then also, when we're talking about building that environment, now we can work through this together, right? And I don't feel alone, and like I have to, work through it on my own.
Yes, I agree 100%. I'm very big on, learning and teaching. And, me and my sister started TEL. It's a company called Teaching, Empowering, All While Learning. It's like we could teach and we could empower, but we're learning too. We don't know it all. I'm learning from you with this podcast. I'm learning from Miss Natalie. Like, it's all about learning. And I'm so glad to be learning, to be giving advice. And of course, I'm always going to be 100% transparent.
Super dope. And Natalie, did you hit the raise hand button?
I did. I just wanted to just jump in when we talked about that time. And I'm looking at the comments too about, someone said about the accountability and accountability partners. Your organizer is like your accountability partner. I see a young lady on here, Marilyn Armstead, who was my accountability partner forever, way before degrees and good jobs. But one of the things I admired about her, she always had her organizer together. She managed her money. She always had a plan. And you said something, Toni, with being a successful businesswoman. If you know that sometimes doing something, you have a weak area, you have to have someone that you can be vulnerable with to be successful. And I think in this thing, you know, Traquan, you ought to be commended for doing this and providing a safe environment. This is a judgment-free zone. Guilt and shame stop us from being successful because we don't want to be vulnerable. You might have someone, but you don't want them to know I'm a terrible money manager. I don't want them to know my credit score. So it's just going to stay this way because I'm not going to even talk to them about it. I don't want to be on a pedestal. I need help. And that's what we need to learn how to say. I need help to break this poverty mindset. I need help with it. We've got to definitely keep doing this, keeping this door open. This is just amazing. Some of these topics that you're doing now for an hour that you're doing, maybe we need to even do a 6-week class on when we can really dig in it and say, that's what we're going to do. Yeah, I just wanted to get that in.
That's actually a great idea. And if you guys are open to that, you know, put that in the comments. You guys can leave comments, message me. And I believe that everyone that's here, my panelists and even my past panelists would all be open to that. And we can all share, you know, whatever it is that we bring to the table and learn and grow together. So just to go to our comments for a second, Melissa said, yes, I have to remove apps. It starts to become a mental addiction. She also said that she's on level 2,352. so she candy crushing, like she is candy crushing. And then she said it's also okay to add assistance, a planner, or even accountability partner, like Natalie said. And then Katrina said that's why it was invented, keeps us distracted and trying to keep up. Social media can be draining if one isn't focused on their personal goals and achievements. So definitely things to watch out. And just real quick before I dive even deeper into the comments, I know that we're talking about being successful right now in the routine of a successful person, and that the title of the episode is This Poverty and Mindset. And I just want to just let everybody know that the way that this particular episode was designed was to speak about poverty, but then to also, on the flip side, speak about success, right? And try to bounce different ideas for somebody that might be trying to break through that poverty line, right? Rather than, it's one thing to sit and talk about where you are and sit and talk about all of the faults, but it's another thing to talk about different ways that people who are not in that particular situation either got out of that situation or made sure that they didn't never get there, right? So for me personally, if somebody comes to talk to me with a problem, I feel like, and Natalie will tell you this because she does this to me without even saying it. If I come to her with a problem, I probably got about 5 to 10 minutes to actually talk about the problem before she starts talking about solutions, right? So she'll console me through the problem, like, oh, okay, you know, and be empathetic to it and sympathetic, and but 10 minutes in, she throwing solutions out there, right? So that's I just wanted to, just for anybody that kind of was like, is this conversation about success or poverty, right? It is about poverty, and it is about poverty and the mindset of poverty. But I also wanted to, on the flip side, just give that success or success routine, or just some different ways that people escape poverty or work their way to not being in poverty. And then Carla said, we're working through it as a village, right? If you guys listen to any of my past episodes, or even the promo for my podcast in general, you know, I said that in order for the collective to be strengthened, each individual has to be strengthened and grow, right? Like one person can't strengthen the entire collective. Like in order for an environment to change, like we all have to, you know, be better and grow. And what better way to learn and grow than to learn and grow together, right? So like Carla said, you know, we're doing it as a village, and it takes a village. Shout out to Trey. Thank you, Katrina. I really appreciate that so much. Melissa says she totally agrees. Success definitely requires vulnerability. And then Alyssa said that's a great idea. I'm looking forward to it. And Carla says she also is. So, you know, we can definitely organize that group, get that together, so we can continue to do this as a village. And We're a little over time, so I don't want to keep you guys too long. I'm not going to rush through, but you guys' time is very important to me. But I also don't want to cheat you guys out of not giving you guys all the information that I had down here to kind of go over with you guys. So I want to go into when Eric Thomas says in this particular message that rich people don't work, they think. Right? Rich people don't work, they think. Tony, what do you think about that?
Because in order, as you thinking, you're evolving. If you're just working, what are you doing? You're being stagnant. You're being comfortable in whatever you're doing. So you have to think. You have to learn more. You have to read more. You have to learn more in order to grow. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to think about, and I'm going to make a master plan about what I'm going to do. I'm not just going to go to work, because that's not benefiting me. I'm just going to stay in the tunnel, the rat race. I'm going to go to work and wake up. No, I need to think. I need to plan. I need my routine. It all goes hand in hand. So yes, I need to think. Thinking is very important because you got to strategize. You got to be organized in your thoughts, and you have to be very clear on what you want to do, how you're going to do it, and how you're going to be successful. And just to go back a little bit about success and poverty, you can't talk about success without poverty. You can't talk about poverty without talking about success, because we're trying to get through. We're trying to teach. We're trying to overcome this battle of poverty. She got the army fatigue on because the battle is not won. It's not. So we're not going to just dwell in poverty. We're not just going to talk about everything that's against us. No, we're going to create a conversation. We're going to create a safe space for us to get through it, learn skills, understand it, so that we can get through it. So, yeah.
There we go. Like, and just talking, just like you said, you got to think, right? We got to think, right? No matter how we put it. And I think, like, going into something else that he said that this country became rich because they had workers that they didn't have to pay. And then when they decided that they had to pay us, that they want to pay the least. And now when you look at a poverty mindset, it's something along the lines of clock in, I make this much money. When you look at a rich mindset is I put them to work, I make this much money an hour. Natalie, what would you say to that?
I would say that this gentleman, he better hit me first when he sees me, because he was talking about me. And I'm just sharing. If a company hires me and they're willing to pay me $120,000 a year, let's just throw that out there, 140, 150, people look at me like, girl, that's a lot of money. I allow them to set my worth. I want to say, if corporate America is willing to pay me, look at me, 120,000, how much am I really worth? That's why I admire the Traquans and the Antoinettes who said, corporate America will not set my worth. They will not do that. I've been angry. I'm an angry woman that is in counseling because I've had more time to study the history of this country and how African Americans, Black, so it says Negro on my birth certificate, how we built this country in the little scraps that they gave us, and they're still doing it. Because think about it. If a company, I'm going to say it again, will pay me money to run a $24 million company, what do you think I'm really worth? I'm not bragging, you guys. I want to cry, because I want everyone in here that's 65 and under, that's still working, to realize you don't let anyone set your worth. I've allowed that to happen to me. And that's why Traquan's dad teases me. She got another job. I don't know why she won't come work with us and help us build this business. I have a poverty mindset that I need to break just looking at this, because the young people look at me and they see the six figures and they think I'm successful. I'm not. don't allow anyone to set your worth. That's what I'm trying to say to you. Don't allow it. Don't leave the plantation thinking. I'm pointing thumb at self. That's why it's a war. Every time I see a young person that has a business, I know Traquan says, well, we'll talk, and I'll say, well, okay, Traquan, I'm gonna take that they taught me how to do, and we're gonna come up with a plan, because I'm gonna get you to 24 million. Do you understand what I'm saying? So don't allow anyone to set your worth. That and don't, and don't look at someone and think they've arrived, because I haven't. When I tell you I am proud of my daughter, and she's probably, I hope she didn't leave the room. You don't know who she is on here, because she doesn't allow that. She'll tell me, I'm not doing that. Building inheritance for your children, not just money, but teaching them their worth. One of the things the author talked about, Traquan, was how old should a child be when you start talking about credit score? I don't want to see another little baby doing any little dance until they could say, Auntie, you got a good credit score? When I meet him again, he's not going to show me how he could dance. He's going to tell me how he's going to build his credit score. Quincy is going to tell me how he spends, saves, and shares. That's what he's going to tell me about. He's going to know his worth. So yes, we definitely need to change that mindset, starting with me, and stop thinking that a person is not in poverty because they make a certain amount of money.
Yes.
Okay, I'm done.
No, don't be done. We need all that. We need all of that. And I like what you said about making six figures but still being in poverty, right? And that kind of that really leads me into my next question, right? And well, I'll do like a two-part question. When we look at poverty and being in a poverty environment, right? How much money are we taught to spend? That's one. And then also, Eric Thomas said that one of the things that he learned from rich people is that like you said, spend, save, and share. That you should rich people live off of 30% of their income, and that they have at least 6 months of income put to the side. What do you think about that, Tony?
First and foremost, it's not taught. It's not taught how to save. It's not taught how to build credit. It's not taught the importance of investing and, things of that nature. Is okay, you at a certain age, you got your little summer job, cool. You go ahead, spend it all you want. You want those, you want those shoes, go ahead. You worked hard for the summer, go spend it. That's the mindset that we teach. I was taught that. My peers were taught that. It wasn't, I'm not gonna say all my peers, but the majority of my peers, yes, we were taught, just, it's your money. You make your own money, you do what you want. There's no structure in, you should spend them out. You should live off of this, you should save this, you should invest this. We need to teach that in schools. I don't understand why schools are not teaching about credit. They're not teaching about investing. They're not teaching about everything that really will bring the poverty level in the Black community, way low. The things that we need to survive are not being taught. So yes, I think, man, listen, I'm glad. I'm glad it's like, I'm like, man, listen, I'm just glad that at 29, I'm starting to surround myself. I'm the youngest of 7. We're all on this level of, teaching about investing, learning about credit, fixing our credit. My mom has this perfect score telling us, hey, do this, do that. We have that kind of, foundation right now. As younger, we didn't, because they didn't know about it. So now it's my duty to teach my daughter now. I don't want to wait till she's 29. I need to teach her from young. And yes, she know a little TikTok dances and songs, but along with that, I do want her to learn about credit, to learn about, money management. That's important, because I have horrible money management that I'm still learning. So yeah, I think very, very important, very important.
See, and that's super dope, right? And I like that that you brought that up as far as like teaching your daughter that and having that balance, right? Like, we don't want them to be like accountants at the age of 5 and not want to do nothing else, right? We want to allow them to enjoy different things and know how to do different things. But to both of you guys' point, one shouldn't work without the other, right? You want to dance and, you know, and Corvette. You want to show me all that, right? I need to know, you know, what are the aspects of a credit score, right? And that's just a lot of different things, right? Reading, are we showing our kids books and stuff like that? Are we reading books to our kids? Even though at this point, books are almost obsolete, right? But it is something that they should know about. And before we got on, we had a conversation where Natalie was telling us how she was showing a young kid her Bible, and the kid was so used to technology that the kid actually tried to swipe the page on her Bible thinking it was a tablet, right? So being able to teach our kids different things, expose them to different things where, you know, they're able to have fun in this environment, but they also know about things that are important to their growth. So Nikki said, you're speaking facts. You got to know your worth, right? That is so important. You know, when you sit and look at something that Natalie said, when she said, I'm making 6 figures, this is a $24 million company. If somebody makes enough money to pay me $100,000, you pay me $100,000. How much money do you think that person made? Right? Like, let's really think about that. Or even if we look at a job that may be a little smaller, right? If we say I make $12 an hour, but it's 40 of us, how much money do you think that person makes, right? Like, so those are things to think about when you're talking about running somebody's company, working at somebody's company. If you can mop a floor at McDonald's, you can open a cleaning company. You can mop somebody's floor and get all the money, right? Like, know your worth, right? Like, know your worth. So I think that was definitely a fact. She said, know your worth and don't settle. And then Nikki also said, my son will not get it out the mud. I'm passing down LLCs and businesses, right? And that's a trend. Nowadays, the kids, they're excited to say, oh, I got it out the mud. I'm getting it out the mud. Like, no, thank you. Like, no, thank you. My son is not getting it out the mud. He don't need to even know, you know, he could see the mud, but he ain't got to get it out the mud.
It's like I got it out the mud for you not to. I think every generation should elevate. I shouldn't go through what my parents went through. They went through it. They know how it is. So we shouldn't do that. We should be at the next level. Whatever I go through, I'm making it different for when my daughter gets older. She don't have to experience what I went through because I know different now and I can teach different.
Yeah. Yes. And taking that accountability, I think it was Alyssa that said it earlier, taking that accountability. Natalie said having that accountability partner, right? And that's so important because when you take accountability, you have awareness of what's going on. And let's say you have bad spending habits, right? You have awareness that you have a bad spending habit. You take accountability, which leads you to now take the actions that you need to take in order to better yourself. Now, once you better yourself, the change that we want to see has to first begin in us so we can teach it to other people, right? Our kids being the first people that we want to teach it to, right? I want to make sure, like Tony said, I got it out the mud so you don't have to get it out the mud, right? And that's pretty much as simple as it gets. And Alyssa also said, "Woo, spend, save, and share!" Exclamation point. Antoinette said, "I can't be a follower, or else my cousin Trey will whip me again." And Nay said, "We do need all of that." Melissa said, "Preach, Auntie." And Kay said, "Managing money starts at home." Right? So, like Tony said, I'm teaching my daughter these things. Like, yes, she'll dance. She might be in, you know, whatever activities she want to be in, and ballet, and if she want to hoop or wrestle or whatever she want to do, right? I always tell people this joke. I don't care what my son want to do. He gonna want to be a professional Ninja Turtle. If that's what he want to do, that's what I'm going to support. But there's also some things that have to go with that, right? Like, I got to teach them these things, right? So managing money definitely starts at home. And then Kay also said everything starts with our environment, right? So home is a form of environment. Our living space is a form of environment. Our school, our family, like they all create an environment. So I definitely agree with that. And Melissa said they are in front of the colleges giving away credit cards to youth who don't have a clue about credit. They only know how to spend money. How many people have turned 18 and got that letter in the mail from whatever credit card company, like you are pre-approved, and then you get it, or you got, I know me, I got my first credit card at American Eagle, don't judge me, because I don't really know if that's in, but that's where I got it from. That's where I was shopping, and I was swiping like, all right, like, you know, I'm gonna pay it when I pay it. Like, I didn't understand the value of on-time payments and how that affected my credit score. I didn't understand, like, all right, when should I pay it? How much debt? Or spending a certain percentage? Like, oh, if you spend over a certain percentage of your available credit balance, like that affects your credit. Like just different things that I didn't understand at a young age. So this is why we have to teach it to them at young. So now when somebody approaches them with something like, here go a credit card. Oh, nah, mommy already told me about this. Daddy already told me about this. I'm only going to spend 30% because I know if I spend over that, it's going to affect my credit score. I'm going to make sure that I pay at least my minimum payment monthly or whatever, so it doesn't affect my payment history. Or you know what, I'm going to pay a little bit more than my minimum payment because I don't want to accrue the interest and then have to pay more. Like just different things that now when we're giving our kids this information at home, it breaks that cycle of poverty where at my house, we had a house phone that nobody uses and nobody picks up because only one people called it, bill collectors, right? Like, so now you break that cycle where you're not running from them no more. Like, hello, yeah, my bills is on time. They're not even calling me because my bills is on time, right? So breaking that cycle is like so key.
Oh, and even if you build your child's credit, so when they are 18, they got a 750 credit score already, and you starting them out the gate. Listen, you 18, I've been building your credit for this many years. This is how you do it. This is the roadmap. You starting them off with success right there. You could build them, you could build your child's credit as they get older, give it to them, teach them the tools of how to maintain it and even get it higher. So they don't even have to start from zero credit. They could start from 750.
Right. That's also, something when you're talking about credit, like, and then this is why, and I'm so excited that you said that, because I think that that's information, as simple as it sounds, that a lot of people, like, we're just not aware of. Like, I never knew that I could add my kid as a user on my credit card and they'll never touch it. And of course, you have to be responsible because you'll tear their credit up. But if you're being responsible, right, like I can give my kid a head start. If I got an 820 credit score, I got an 800 credit score, and I add my kid as a user and they don't even know they're a user on my credit card, it's out the gate. As soon as they're able to get a credit, they start with an 800. That's special. That's special, right? Like, and just going back to our comments, and they said we're taught everything we don't need to know, or we taught everything we don't need to use in our everyday life, right? I took a million art classes. I ain't never have to draw nothing at work. Like, I ain't never have to draw nothing at work, right? Like, so, and that was a credit, right? Like, I agree. Let's just say that I agree, right? And then Nikki said, nay, exactly, like algebra, right? Kay said that's rapper talk. And then she also said, exactly, we know better. Marilyn said, yes, guard your credit. And Carla said, I got to head out, but I'm loving this space and definitely need more of this. And Carla, you're definitely, welcome to join us again. We're excited to have you. And I'm actually very appreciative of all of your comments, right? Your perspective, what you brought to the show today. Like, I really appreciate it. I know my panelists really appreciate it. We learned a lot from you. And we can't wait to see you during next week's episode or whenever you're available to join us. Melissa said, you have some silly parents ruining their kids' credit before they're 5 years old, putting stuff in their baby name. That's poverty 101. Like,
Poverty mindset.
I have seen a 1-year-old cousin of mine on the caller ID. Like, I have. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Like, I have seen that. Yep. And that is so horrible. That is so horrible. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. But in the essence of time, let me let's get back to our last few questions, or our last topic. And the last topic is, you can't teach me how to be a millionaire because you're not one. Natalie, what do you think about that?
That's I would have to agree with that. I think you could tell me some tools I can learn from your mistakes, but um, a millionaire, you can learn from a millionaire. I don't want to call anyone out, but I got a friend on here and I know she's a millionaire. And she's taught me a lot about money. I'm not gonna call her out because most millionaires don't want you to know. They don't want you, especially in our culture. But so I've learned a lot from her, and if I want to, can I teach you how to be? I'm not a millionaire, not yet, but can I teach you? I can teach you mistakes that I've made that I don't want you to make, but I can't do that if I haven't done it. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like I'm going to teach you the fundamentals of something, but I can't fly a plane. But you take my class, you're going to know how to fly a plane. So maybe I'm looking at it from the wrong perspective, but yeah, I think that would be a challenge. What do you all think? I'm open with that.
What you think, Tony?
I agree, because there's times I took advice from, from people, well, that's all they knew to give that advice. They didn't know any better. And me taking it against, me not wanting to do it, and it just messed me up. And it's like, now I'm stuck here. Now I'm doing this, listening to this person, but who can I fault? I can't fault that person because that's all they know. So they're telling me what they know. It was up to me to decide what I needed for whatever I wanted to do in the future. But absolutely, you can't teach me something that you haven't done. And I believe that wholeheartedly.
I think one of the things my dad, I learned a lot from him, more than I learned in any college. He looked at me and he lovingly called me Black girl. He said, Black girl, you learn from your mistakes, don't you? And I said, yes, I do. And he said, but you're not going to live long enough to make all of them. You got to learn from somebody else too. And my dad wasn't a millionaire, but I learned a lot from him about money and money management from mistakes that he made. So I plugged into him. So I say that to say there are people that I know that are not millionaires, but they have given me some great advice that will prevent me from, like I was just looking at Melissa when she said about the parents putting their children's things in their name. That's generational poverty. They're trying to keep the lights on and they can't get them in their name. I'm not judging them when they do that. They've made some mistakes with their credit. So, can we learn from that? Yes, we can teach our children not to do that. We can teach them to be better money managers. So, yeah.
I I agree, right? And Dr. Eric Thomas, in his message, he uses a scenario where he's speaking to his mother, and one of the platforms that he uses when he's doing his messages, when he first started out, was YouTube. Because YouTube was and still is very big. There are some millionaires or some people who have made millions off of YouTube and YouTube videos. And then he told his mother, he said, Mom, I'm gonna quit my job. I'm going all in, with the speaking thing or whatever. And she was like, quit your job? Does YouTube have insurance? Does YouTube have a 401k? You're gonna embarrass me. You got a family, you married, like, and then that's when he came to her with the phrase, and he said, Ma, I love you and no disrespect, but you can't teach me how to be a millionaire because you're not one. He said, and that's no knock against what you've done, because he said his mom worked for General Motors Company in Detroit back in the, I believe he said in the 50s or the 60s, and that was a really good job at that time. And he said, I'll take your work ethic. No, he said, I'll take your values with me, but I can't take your same work ethic because you can't teach me how to do that because this is what you know. Right. So he said, I'll take the values as far as work ethic being like the mindset and the hard work and all of those things. I'll take your values with me, but you can't teach you can't teach me how to get over this hump. So I really appreciated like when he said that. And in saying that, I just spoke with my dad the other day and I was telling him, I said, talking to my dad, sometimes he can say some things that people will think will be harsh because he's very blunt, right? He's gonna say it however it come out, and that's just what it is, right? And I said, because of you, I've learned how to take things for what people say and not how they say that, like not how they say it. And how that relates to this is, I look at life as like a cookout. When you have a conversation, you eat whatever you eat that's on the plate, and whatever you don't need, you fold it up and put it in the trash can, right? And it's just that simple. It's not to say that somebody doesn't have the information I need to become a millionaire, but for me to be under somebody or be mentored under someone's tutelage and have the mindset that I'm going to become a millionaire and you're not a millionaire, I think that that would be a form of insanity, right? Like, in my opinion.
Right. No, and that's fair, because it's not saying don't tell me nothing at all because you don't know nothing. That's definitely not, the perspective that I was coming from. It don't say these steps to me because you don't know these steps, but tell me other things that you have advice on. The time management, you can help me with that. Organization, you can help me with that, because this will be beneficial to when I do get a millionaire or when I do become successful. So you can teach me some things. Just don't shoot my dream down because you're not familiar with it. If I want to be this mogul fashion designer and own all these fashion houses, because you don't know what that look like and it's not realistic to you, don't shoot me down,
Right. Don't be the dream killer.
Don't be the dream killer.
Don't be the dream killer. I'm not even accepting that. And it's so funny. Nikki said in the comments, she said, yes, I think that this is true. You cannot take hair advice from a bald-headed girl, right? So, I mean, but unless she's bald-headed by choice, she might.
I was about to say that, unless she's a hairstylist and she done shaved it off by herself.
Unless she's bald-headed by choice, because the short hair is in. Short hair is in, right? So, one of the things that I like to think about, and this is a little off of the message, but just something that I think about in my day-to-day life when I'm, looking at my business and I get up I have a routine that I'm developing. I have a routine now, but I'm adding different things in and I'm developing it and finding out what things work best for me and that are conducive to my business and then also to my family. Having children and making sure that I'm not wholeheartedly just going business and forgetting I got a family at home and things of that sort. But nonetheless, I'm developing a routine. And one of the things that I think about when I'm developing this routine and when I'm doing different things concerning my business is, am I operating as a corporation, or am I operating as an unproductive time loop? So am I operating in the sense of, like we said earlier, when we were talking about poverty, like wake up, eat, go to work, do this, change the baby, and not do anything productive? Or am I operating as a corporation? And what I meant by that, as far as operating as a corporation, is corporations, being someone that has run multiple different corporations and had to manage multiple different retail businesses. Corporations set yearly goals, monthly goals to move towards the yearly goals, weekly goals to move towards the monthly goals, and daily goals to move towards the weekly goals, right? Do you think that most successful people, Natalie, do you think that most successful people operate as a corporation?
I do, Traquan, I do. I even ask family members sometime. I had a conversation with Nikki, just a project that we're working on. And I said, Nikki, I need you to be honest with me, because some family members I drive crazy. I don't mean to be controlling when I do this. And I say, like, okay, we're going to talk about this. I send family members meetings, like we're going to meet and discuss this and we're going to do that. My personal life is—
You got me doing that.
I schedule my time. And just a sidebar, going back to the vacation thing, about a year ago, Traquan gave me permission to rest. That was one of my weakest areas, and he gave me permission to do that, and I've embraced that, and thank you for that. But yes, I do think that you have to schedule time and do that with your planning, and I think that's a big part of the success in getting out of poverty. And also, I love what Tony said about— I think me as an OG, like you say, or the big dogs are teachable. You can teach me some new tricks. And that's one of the things I learned that we, as a people, have to do. We have to be teachable. I learned so much from my daughter. She is my shiro, not because she's my daughter, but she teaches me a lot about business and running stuff and being dedicated and following your dreams. So we as oldies have to be teachable and watch our mouth. Like Nikki, we were saying, you could go, somebody could tell you something, and I could do like this, not realizing that they respect me and my is different from someone else's because of how they value what I say. So we need to be conscious of what we say to people and what we do as older people and not be a dream killer. Absolutely. But yeah, we need to schedule time. That's the biggest thing. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. That's one of the things, like you had said earlier, as far as like you learn so much from these businesses, and then, you know, now I'm going to take this and apply it to, you know, the people that I'm dealing with, right? And that was one of the things I learned being a supervisor, being a manager, being a director for a particular company. That was one of the things I learned, like, because every day you come in, you got something to do. Oh, we got this coming, we got this visit, we got this person from the higher up coming in to check on us doing this because we ain't meet this goal, we didn't meet that goal. And there are a million different goals to keep this company that's, let's say, paying me $30 an hour to keep, and they making $1 million in a month. Like, I was a manager for Walmart, and the store that I was working at was $1 million store. Yep. $1 million. You mean to tell me this store made $1 million in a month?
Yep.
And I didn't make $10,000 this month, and y'all made $1 million in a month. But when you look at the routine that they have us on, when you work for these different companies, treat it like a cookout. Yep. Sometimes you can't walk in and say who made the potato salad. Sometimes you got to just taste it. If it ain't right, you leave it on that plate, right? But if there are some things that you can learn, take those things, apply them to your, not even just your work life, like your daily life. There are some things that I learned at work that I apply to my daily life. Again, i.e. being the routine, right? Like having that saying like, yo, I got to do this at this time, this at this time. And then also when you have people who are working with you, put the pressure on them. You know how many times Natalie told me, like, listen, I got to get this done by this day. You make sure you call me and make sure that I do it, right? And when I call her, or most of the time, she'll text me and be like, right? She'll text me before I was supposed to call her and be like, I got it done, right? But just to have that accountability, right? But that's a learned behavior, right? I don't know where she learned it from, whether it was work, home, but it's a learned behavior, right? So take all of that stuff, every little thing, every opportunity that you have to learn, take those things, all of those good and valuable things, apply them to your life so you can teach them to your children or teach them to your loved ones, right? Nay said, wow, Traquan, you got me with that one. I'm literally trying to learn to listen to what people say and not how they say it, because woof, right? At one point in life, I was reactionary, right? That was just me, like, especially, again, giving an example of my dad, especially with my dad, like he was telling me some real stuff, right? That I just couldn't handle because how he was saying it, right? It's not that it was wrong, but it was just how he was saying it. But the moment that I realized, like, you know what, this is just how he's saying it, but this is what he means, right? And I saw that his intentions were genuine, then I said, okay, I can eat this off this plate, right? It's not really the flavor I like, but you know, it's chicken nonetheless, right? You know, it's chicken nonetheless. I can eat it, like it's cool. Alyssa said, the only way to succeed is to set goals and keep moving, right? So when we think about, no matter where you are, poverty, middle class, upper middle class, rich, wealthy, you have to continually set goals and achieve those goals, right? After you achieve the first goal, right? So I'm in poverty, I'm broke, I got $0. First thing I need to do is get a source of income. Now I got a source of income, that's goal number one. Now I have to set new goals. And then Eric Thomas says in the message where he talks about people setting goals, right? He said to the people that he was speaking to, he said, do not write down a goal unless you're willing to write down all the steps that you need to take in order to obtain that goal, right? So there's goals are very important on getting away from what it is you're trying to get away from, in this case, poverty, right? And as a collective, we all have to be strengthened, because I can make it out of poverty, you can make it out, like we all can make it out of poverty, but when we talk about the war on poverty, me making it out of poverty is winning a battle. When we talk about the war on poverty, it's about our collective, right? So each individual has to be strengthened and grow for our collective to win this war on poverty. So a better me, in turn, not to be cliche or anything, but a better me will, in this particular situation, equal a better we, right? Kay said that two heads are better than one, definitely. Alyssa said, treat it like a cookbook, like that slogan. And then they said, build off their company facts. Exactly, like I couldn't have said it better myself. Antoinette said, if you don't build your dream, someone will hire you to help build theirs. And that's what that was a quote by Tony Gaskins. And that, again, couldn't have said it better myself, right? And then Marilyn said, invest in yourself. The last thing I want to go over with you guys, because I know I've held you guys hostage for all these hours, and I'm just so appreciative of my panelists, because they could have said, listen, I only had an hour for you. You told me this was going to be an hour, but I'm so appreciative. And like I always say, I value people's time so much, even you guys that are watching, because like we talked about earlier, you could be doing anything else, like anything else. You could be scrolling, you could be watching the show, binge watching. People have stuff to do, and you made the decision to log on, watch, listen, comment, and give information, right? You made the decision to pour into us. So I respect all of you guys' times, and all of you guys' time, and I appreciate you guys being here with us for this amount of time as we talk about a subject that I think is going to be something that's going to be talked about for years until we're able to get our collective to where we need it to go. So my last question, and I'll ask both of you guys for your opinion and maybe a few different solutions that you guys can think of. And if you guys in the comments, if you guys can think of anything, please put it in the comments for myself, for the panelists, and for people that may watch at a later time. But Tony, I'll start with you. What are some ways that you think that we can make sure that we don't pass down the poverty mindset?
I think every day we have to challenge ourselves. We have to push ourselves to a limit that we may not even be comfortable with. We have to constantly grow. I think we need to, build a surrounding. Get your friends, have that conversation, let everybody be on one accord. Listen, this is where we're going. You want to do this? You want to do this? We all going to be held accountable. Let's write a plan. Some people can't do it alone. Some people need help. Find a team. It may sound easy, but it's not. I'm not successful because, I'm very, I get very stuck in my bad habits. I have bad habits, sometimes I can make a plan and then I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow, brush it off. So I just think if you constantly challenge yourself, you do things that you haven't done, you read more books. Okay, how about you set your timer on? I'm gonna spend an hour on Instagram, just maybe on the train on my way to work, or I maybe do it on my lunch break. But other than that, when I get home, I'm gonna read 3 more chapters in this business book. I'm gonna go online and go to YouTube, because YouTube have so much valuable information. I mean, YouTube University is real, because you can learn all this free class about marketing and real estate and any field that you want to do. You really have to challenge yourself. Sit through that, take some notes, learn from different people. And I just think the main thing is be consistent, be present, know what you want to do, get clear on the steps that you want to take, reach out to people. That's what those are the things that I'm working on.
And I like that, because when you talk about things or ways that we cannot pass these things down, right? Best thing to do is to talk about something that relates to you, right? Because it's real. So now if I say, you can work on better spending habits, and I got bad spending habits. That's a real thing, right? That's real. Like, and again, accountability. We can work through that together, right? I think it's one of the things that we lost with social media, I believe, was even with the name social media, was the ability to be social and actually connect. I think that's one of the things that we lost. And my dad says this all the time, and my mom as well. Like when we talk about sitting at the kitchen table, or if I'm having a conversation with my mom, and I'm looking at my phone, my mom will go crazy. Like get out your phone while I'm talking to you. Like just that ability to connect with people, right? Like I think that we kind of lost that a bit. So I really, like that you said that, and these are things that I'm going through, right? Because it creates that connection, and it creates that environment where it's like, okay, we can learn through this together. So, I really do agree with that. And Melissa said that in our comments, consistency is key. So that's one of the things that we see that's been key, or a lot of people are agreeing on that, we have to find a way to stay consistent at the things that we like, or the things that we need or we want to accomplish. And then Nikki said, come out of your comfort zone so you can step out of poverty, right? And so Natalie, just to go to you, as we wrap up, what are some ways that you think that we can assure that we don't pass down poverty?
Traquan, I thank you for this. I think for me is first of all knowing about time. This pandemic was a horrible, horrific thing. People lost lives, people lost jobs, but I'm so grateful for it because I was so caught up making money and chasing that dollar. I didn't have the time to spend with you all that I did before. You knew that I loved you without a doubt, but time and investing time, I've reset my priorities. I turned jobs down because my family is important to me. I don't want to be successful anymore. I want to be significant. It's not about what's in my bank account. It's what my babies, all of you guys are my babies, what you do, so I say the steps for me is to choose an accountability buddy, make a commitment, and schedule a check-in. I know I drive you nuts. Antoinette, my daughter, will tell, oh, I'm sorry, I told your name. She'll tell me, I don't work for you. I don't work for you. Because I'll be like, girl, we need to schedule a meeting. And she's told me that for over 30 years. I don't work for you. So just get someone that you can be vulnerable with and let them be your accountability partner. I say it over and then make a commitment and then schedule a check-in. And that I assure you, if you keep that date book, you'll see changes in there and you won't pass it down. And bring your children to the table. Let them know, well, this is where I'm at. This is what we have to work with. And you could give them age appropriate stuff. You don't have to go detail to detail, but we're not doing this because we want to do this. And we're planning. Let them be a part of that spend, save, share. I work for a company called Mind Treasures. I taught children in the school system here, and we taught them as early as second grade about spend, save, and share. And I did it in the after school programs that the children did so well with the way that they saw stuff. Kids don't know about money. They don't understand it. So that's where you want to start. I heard, said they're not teaching that in school. They should teach us. I agree. But it's kind of like when we got upset when they took prayer out of school. They didn't take it out my home. I can still pray with my family at home. So I don't have to count on someone to teach my babies about poverty. I meet with Darren. I don't think you guys will ever understand how important meeting with Darren every Saturday at 9 a.m. is to me, and I don't want to tear up because I get a chance to spend time with him. I learned from him. You got to give back. And I see a difference just in that time that you take with them. So make time for your family. That's the key. That's how we break it.
I
I
respect
love.
that so much coming from her. Oh, that was amazing. Because one day, me and Trey are going to get to that age and we don't want to look back and say, listen, we've been doing all this and we didn't spend no time and we didn't make memories. We just been working. So it's so respectable and honorable for you to say it because you're there. You're at that point and you understand how to be significant over success. So that touched me. I like that. And it
I'm
does
telling.
start in the household. Yes.
I'm telling you, like I felt like I was at church. I was about to start speaking in tongues and spinning around and woof, like
Me
I,
and
I
Trey like clapping. We like, woo!
and look, because when we mute, you know, you guys can only see who's talking, but if you guys could see us in the background when she said that, I mean, I'm telling you, I was in here spinning around on my head. Like I was breakdancing, like, because that was so that touched my spirit in a special way because for myself, I've been consumed with the idea of success because I know what I've been through in the sense of not what I had to grow up in, but in the sense of where I've come from personally, the mindset that I've had as my mind and my heart has developed. Um, People will tell you if anyone went to high school with me or even middle school or has known me uh, 15 years ago, I was a completely different person. And I wanted so much out of life. And in my mind, I just thought success was it. Right. So I've been consumed with success. Like I have to be successful because, you know, I want my son to have this and I want my son to have that. And I want him to not have to worry about this and I want him to not have to worry about that. But to hear her say that, it really just like did something because now it makes me ask myself the question that if I'm successful, but I'm not significant to him, did all of that mean anything?
Absolutely. And I think success is so different from person to person because success could be health. Success could be being the kind of person who's, understanding, loving. You could get to an age where it's like, back in the day, you touched me so much. You made an impact in my life, and that's success. Touching people, making changes. It's not all monetary. You could
Yeah,
be successful working hard, and then you neglected your health, and you can't enjoy nothing because now you got to deal with whatever disease or whatever medications and whatever else that you wasn't even focused on. So success varies from person to person, but don't focus on money. Don't always chase money because that's not the only success.
yes.
Success is your child turning 25, like, you know what, every summer I valued the time that we took every weekend off to go get ice cream and had a deep talk. Had mommy daughter day, had daddy Sunday, you took me for basketball growing up. I love that. That's success.
And crazy enough, right? Again, I tell you guys, I appreciate your time so much. And that you guys took the time to pour into me and invest in to what I'm trying to do. And Eric Thomas said, and I bring this guy up so much because I just feel like a lot of the things that he say, it's one thing to listen to somebody that wants to motivate you, but it's another thing to listen to a person that wants to motivate you, but also gives you steps to be successful, right? And I think that the message that he was able to inspire this particular episode with, I'm so appreciative of it, and I appreciate you guys' time so much. And I tried to say, you know what, it's hitting an hour, let me wrap it up. But I didn't want to rob you guys. And I don't know if this was the same experience for you guys, if you're viewing, or for you guys as the panelists, as it was for me. But this conversation for me was life changing. And I just want to, again, thank you guys, for your time, for your patience with us. Because again, you could have been doing anything else. You could have said, all right, this is past the hour, I'm logging off. My support button is off or whatever. And I just want to leave you guys with something before we wrap up. Eric Thomas said in a message that there's a form of love that most people in the world won't ever get to. And that's the form of love where you live for other people. and for you guys to, everybody that's here, you made a decision to say that you wanted to be a part of the next person's life. I wanted to be a part of this conversation so I can pour something into the next person's life, or to be available so that somebody can pour something into my life so that you can change somebody else's life. Um, and you guys have the ability to affect change, as well as myself. And we've made the decision as a collective, to be forerunners or front runners, I should say, in affecting change. So I want to read our comments really quick. If you guys, if I didn't get to your comment, I'm still trying to figure this out, where like I look at the comments and then I see some of them, and I started refreshing it, like the live stream, on my phone, so that I'm starting to see more of your comments. But I see that there's like 100 and something comments. I know I didn't read 100 and something comments. So if I missed your comment, I apologize. I'm still trying to figure out why they're not all coming up. But I do read them afterwards, again, because they're all valuable to me, and I do appreciate you guys commenting and giving your input. And I want to hear it. So I do look at them, even if I don't read it out loud. It's because for some reason it just doesn't. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. But when I figure it out, I'll make sure that I definitely do want to read your comments, because I want us all to learn from each other. So Tony, is there anything that you want to say to our viewers before we head out?
Oh man, first and foremost, thank you, Trey. You are definitely doing some dope things. This podcast is much needed. This conversation, it went on for so long, is because it's such a great topic, such a teachable moment, and I'm so glad that I was chosen to be a panelist. I learned some things. I got to get the ball rolling. But I appreciate everybody who tuned in. I hope you learned some things. I hope we gave good advice. I know you guys gave good advice and feedback. Thank you, Miss Natalie Newson. You were amazing. Of course, I'm definitely gonna be hitting you up. I'm gonna get your information from Trey, because you gotta put me on a schedule. Because I need those meetings. Okay, we need a conversation. But yeah, this was amazing. This is my first ever podcast, first live, talking about something that's so important. So I'm glad to be a part of it. This was really, really dope. Really dope. Thank you, Trey.
No problem. I'm super excited that you enjoyed yourself. And like I told you guys off air, when I thought of this particular topic, you two were the first two people that came to my mind, as well as our other panelists who actually had to work, so he wasn't able to make it. If you guys were looking at the flyer and was like, "Where's the other guy?" He had to work. So of course, we understand that his priority, he has to make sure that he has that source of income. So, but you guys will see him at another day when he's free. I tried to squeeze the time kind of tight. He told me that he might not be able to make it. And he actually manages a business. So we all know when you're managing a business, you don't always leave on time. So, he's taking care of his priorities. But you guys were like, when I thought about this, and I said I brought in two of the big dogs, right? The younger big dog and the older big dog, right? And you guys definitely did exactly what I thought you would do. So thank you guys so much. Natalie, is there anything that you want to say to our viewers before we head out?
I am really good. Thank you all. I just love you. Quan, thank you for doing this. Thank you for following and pursuing your dream with this. A better me equal a better we. And I added on there ministries, because that's what you're doing. And thank you for this. I see some of the people on here, and the comments, you keep doing this, your humbleness is just heart touching, if I could just throw this commercial break. I said when this baby was 3 months old, he was going to be a preacher. And I have to just catch myself, because look at you. Look at how God is using you. You're making a difference in lives. So thank you for that. Thank you for having an OG on here. Miss Tony, I'm more than excited of putting you on the schedule. We'll exchange information, but be careful what you ask for. You better check, get a reference, see if you really want me on. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Quan. Love you all to life. Thank you.
Thank you. You're one of the most important people in my life. I wouldn't be who I am, without you. You laid the groundwork, not just for me, but the people before me that were able to give me, what they had to give me for me to be who I am. So, I appreciate that more than I could ever express in words. And I appreciate you guys, the viewers. Again, I know I've said it a million times, but you guys just don't understand how much I appreciate you guys' time, what you guys put in, listening, and if you guys, and this was something, and it's crazy that this came up, that someone said this. I think, I don't remember if one of you guys said this or if someone said it in the comments, but about having a group where you guys all, I think it was Tony that said it, having a group and you guys all come together and be able to hold each other accountable. That's something for me that was confirmation, because that's something that I've been wrestling with for the past week or two, because I was thinking to do an accountability group. When we talk about building a team, right, it's like Tony said, it's easier said than done, because you don't know whose skill set may fit your particular venture. And then you also don't know who will have the same type of drive for what you're doing as you will have, right? So what better people to speak to see if, hey, we have an accountability group that meets every Wednesday, let's say, for example, and I can ask Tony, hey, is there anything that I can do to help you? And she can ask me, hey, is there anything, I can do this? Is there anything I can do to help you? And do you have anything on your schedule? And then when we meet, we'll be able to put goals up and put goals up on the screen, and everybody put their goals up. And then the next time we meet, we'll be able to ask each other, hey, did you meet this goal? Did you meet this goal? And not to press each other or be in each other's business, but again, to hold each other accountable. If you guys like that idea as far as having an accountability group and it's something that you would like to be a part of, I'm more than happy to have a Better Me Equals a Better We accountability group. And this is something that we won't live stream. It'll be private, but it'll be open to anyone who wants to be a part of it. So if this is something that you guys would be open to, you can put it in the comments. You can direct message me, and let's get that started, right? Let's be that village, as we saw in the comments. Like, let's be that village for each other. Let's be that support system for each other, and just be there, right? So we can, strengthen each other and uplift each other, because there's a lot of people out there dream killing, and telling us that we can't do it. Right. So let's create a group where we're looking at the person next to us and saying, you can do it, because I'm here. Like, I'm here, and I love what you're doing, and I love you, and I mean it. Right. It's a difference between somebody saying I love you and I love you and I mean it. Right. So that's my spiel. You guys can hit me up about that, and if you guys like, we can get that going. We can get that going immediately, and we'll pick a day that works best for everybody. And I'm okay with putting that in my schedule. All right, putting that as a part of my routine as I'm building my routine. We can do that. All right. So thank you guys. That wraps up A Better Me Equals a Better We, episode number 6, entitled "Is Poverty a Mindset?" Got a little deeper than I thought it was going to get.
Whoa,
but
we get deep. It was deep. I told you, this is deep.
It got a little deeper than I thought it was, but we made it through all 2 hours of this hour episode, and everybody that stayed through it. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for investing in us. If you like this video, share it. If you didn't like this video, share it. Somebody that you know might like it. And I can't wait to see you guys again next week on Tuesday. Thursday, you guys will have the information for our next topic. And I think you guys are really going to like next week's topic and next week's episode. So look out on Thursday for that information. And then I'll see you guys next week, Tuesday, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I gotta say Eastern Standard Time
Yes.
because Natalie lives in California, so she know how to set the hours back. But I'll see you
You have a
guys.
few Californians on here, I see.
Yes, yes. So I'll see you guys next Tuesday at 8 p.m. for episode 7 of A Better Me Equals a Better We. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you so much for investing in me. And just remember, a better me equals a better we. Talk to you guys.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Woo!
I'll see you guys next week.
All right.